Every night, millions of minds go to sleep burdened, replaying fears, regrets, and unfinished stories. They whisper to themselves the same tired doubts. I hope tomorrow will be better. But what if that single thought, born in the darkness of night, is exactly why nothing ever changes? What if, instead of praying in worry, you could command the universe to move for you before you close your eyes? When the world grows silent and the body grows weary, the true work of the spirit begins. The night is not merely for rest. It is the divine hour where the invisible takes form. In the stillness between wakefulness and sleep, your thoughts become alive. They are no longer idle wanderings of the mind, but living seeds placed in the fertile soil of the unseen. The subconscious, ever faithful, listens and records. It does not question what is true or false. It simply receives, believes, and begins to create. Whatever thought you cradle in your heart, before you drift into sleep, becomes your command to the universe. And the universe, in turn, begins to shape it into form. Most people close their eyes with minds full of fear, doubt, and regret. They replay the day's failures and mistakes like old songs that refuse to end. They fall asleep whispering words of defeat, not realizing that their subconscious takes those words as divine law. It does not recognize sarcasm, despair. It only knows obedience. If one says, I am so tired of struggling, the subconscious hears only struggle. If one says, I never get what I want, it begins to make that statement true in the waking world. Every repetition of worry is an order. Every sigh of regret is a spell cast in the darkness. The night mind is a mirror reflecting not what you desire, but what you believe. Yet, the same law that brings pain can bring power. The same mind that repeats fear can repeat faith. The subconscious is not your enemy, it is your servant. It stands ready to shape your words into matter, to turn your emotions into experiences. You need only give it new instructions. As you lie upon your bed, the world fades away, and your imagination becomes the architect of tomorrow. The thought you hold most dearly as you drift into sleep will awaken before you do. It will go out into the ethers, gather its likeness, and return as experience. That is the law of mental creation. Think of the mind as a sacred garden. Every thought before sleep is a seed planted in divine soil. You cannot sow weeds and expect roses. You cannot fill the night with doubt and expect a dawn of peace. The universe is too precise, too obedient to your vibration. If you speak of limitation, it will echo limitation. If you rest in abundance, abundance will move toward you. The night mind copies your belief and projects it upon the stage of reality. This is why the ancients taught that prayer before sleep is the most powerful form of creation. The mind, unguarded and still, becomes one with infinite intelligence. There are no barriers of logic, no resistance of reason, only pure faith speaking to the universe in its most natural state. To understand this is to awaken to your divine authorship. You are never a victim of circumstance. You are the writer of your own unseen script. The universe is not random, it is responsive. It bends not to effort, but to alignment. The emotions you feel as you drift into slumber determine the shape of the next sunrise. You may spend your day in chaos, but if your last thought before sleep is peace, peace will find you. You may face uncertainty, but if your last declaration is faith, faith will guide you. The subconscious, loyal and tireless, will take that final thought and weave it through your dreams, your vibration, and your waking path. When you lie in bed tonight, understand that you are standing before the doorway of creation. What you think, feel, and believe in that sacred moment matters far more than the noise of your entire day. The night mind is the bridge between man and the divine. It translates the language of your inner world into the events of the outer world. It gathers the essence of your last thought and delivers it into the hands of universal intelligence. It is not bound by time or effort. It operates in pure faith and law. So guard the moments before you close your eyes. Do not carry into sleep the ashes of what went wrong. Do not rehearse the hurts that drained you. For the subconscious mind takes all things personally. It assumes you wish to live them again. Instead, lift your thought higher. Let your final words to yourself be words of gratitude and assurance. Speak not as a beggar asking for good things, but as a creator declaring that all is already well. As your body drifts into rest, your spirit begins to work, aligning the unseen elements of life to bring your inner world into form. Every night, the universe waits for your instruction. It listens not to your words alone, but to the feeling behind them. It waits for your faith to whisper what it should make real. The moment your eyelids grow heavy, the dialogue between you and the infinite begins. What you choose to send into that stillness returns multiplied. Your last thought becomes the seed, your faith becomes the water, and the dawn becomes the harvest. The night is not empty darkness, it is divine machinery in motion. The world you will wake to has already begun to form, shaped quietly by the stories you tell yourself before sleep. There is a secret language that governs all creation, and it is not spoken in words. It is the language of stillness, the sacred silence where divine intelligence moves without effort and answers without sound. The universe does not rush, it does not shout, and it does not struggle. It listens only to vibration, to the quiet conviction beneath your thoughts. Every great transformation begins in the same place, a calm and trusting heart. Before the universe can move for you, your spirit must become still enough to hear it whisper. Most people fall asleep tangled in their own noise. Their minds chatter endlessly about what went wrong, what might go wrong, and what they fear tomorrow might bring. They pray with tension. They affirm with doubt, and they wait anxiously for a sign that things are changing. But the universe does not respond to this storm. It moves through harmony, not conflict. It answers serenity, not panic. When your mind is at rest, when you have silenced the inner noise of fear, you begin to speak in the only language creation understands, the vibration of peace. Stillness is not emptiness. It is fullness beyond thought. It is the sacred recognition that all is already moving in divine order, even when the outer world seems chaotic. The language of stillness says, I do not chase, I align. It says, I do not worry, I trust. This is the quiet power that bends reality, for in the absence of resistance, the universe can finally deliver what was always yours. The more you struggle to make something happen, the more you affirm its absence. But when you become still, truly still, you affirm its presence. You declare without words that your good is certain and complete. Before sleep, this stillness becomes your most potent form of communication. The moments before dreams are sacred. They are the closing of the conscious gate and the opening of the divine. In that tender transition, your energy speaks louder than your voice. The universe does not need your explanations, your reasoning, or your pleas. It needs only your calm faith. The quietness within you becomes the signal that all resistance has ended, and in that space, creation rushes forward to meet you. To master this language is to master creation itself. It is not the one who prays the loudest who is heard, but the one who believes without noise. The greatest prayers are silent, they are felt, not spoken. In the silence before sleep, your faith becomes the melody that the universe hears. Every sigh of peace, every breath of gratitude, every thought of assurance sends ripples through the unseen. It is not what you say, but what you feel that moves the infinite to respond. The still mind becomes the perfect receiver of divine guidance, for it no longer argues with reality, it harmonizes with it. The practice of stillness is not about suppressing thought, but transforming it. When the mind begins to wander toward fear, bring it back gently to trust. When it replays scenes of pain, replace them with visions of harmony. When it clings to what was lost, remind it of what cannot be taken, your divine connection to infinite supply. As you do this, your inner vibration begins to rise. You stop asking and start allowing. The silence becomes sacred ground, where faith flowers effortlessly. Imagine the moment before you drift into sleep. The room is dark, the air quiet, and your body begins to soften. This is the moment the universe waits for. The soft exhale when the human mind releases control. In that release, divine power begins its work. It needs no effort from you, only permission. Stillness is that permission. It is the open gate through which abundance flows. When you rest in this state, the universe begins to move unseen pieces into place. You are no longer wrestling with reality, but co-creating with peace. The language of stillness also speaks through trust in divine timing. The universe never hurries, and yet everything is accomplished. When you are still, you enter that rhythm. You stop measuring your blessings by the clock and begin to understand that what is yours cannot miss you. The still mind does not demand, it knows. It does not grasp, it receives. It does not fear, it expects. The divine hears that expectation as certainty, and it begins to mirror it through your experiences. Every night, before sleep, the most powerful ritual is not one of words, but of surrender. Sit in quiet awareness. Let every thought of doubt fall away. Feel the air move through your body, the heartbeat within your chest, the stillness behind your eyes. That stillness is the voice of the divine. It says, "Be at peace, for all is well." And as you listen, you become attuned to that frequency. You no longer beg for what is already yours. You begin to rest in the knowing that creation is complete. The moment you enter that stillness, you send a message to the universe more powerful than any spoken prayer. The message that you are ready to receive. The language of stillness is the law of the wise and the rhythm of the divine. It is not learned by force, but remembered through peace. It is the eternal truth that creation moves in silence, that manifestation is not born of chaos but of calm. And as you lie upon your bed, breathing slowly, with your thoughts surrendered and your heart serene, you become the embodiment of that language, and the universe, hearing your quiet faith, begins to move mountains in the dark, before sleep takes you into the silent corridors of dreams. There is a sacred doorway where the conscious and the subconscious meet. It is here that you hold the brush that paints the landscape of your tomorrow. Every night, you are offered a divine opportunity to rewrite the story of your day, to cleanse it of worry, to redeem it from fear, and to speak new life into your future. This is not a ritual of superstition, it is a ritual of creation. The words you declare before sleep are not mere sentences. They are commands issued to the universe, written in the ink of faith. The day may have been filled with challenges, misunderstandings, or disappointments, but when night falls, you are invited to become the author again. The universe is a perfect listener, and the moment before you close your eyes is when it listens most intently. The body prepares to rest, but the soul begins its work. It hears your declarations and transmits them to the unseen forces that shape reality. That is why the wise never go to sleep defeated, they go to sleep declaring victory. They do not dwell on what failed, for they understand that what is declared in the darkness becomes the architecture of dawn. The ritual begins not with complaint, but with command. You take a moment to breathe, to release the tension of the day, and to summon the awareness that you are not powerless. As you lie in your bed, you speak words of order into the unseen. You declare that every situation that troubled you is now working toward harmony. You proclaim that divine order is unfolding even in places where you cannot yet see its hand. The subconscious does not resist such words. It takes them as truth and begins to weave them into your waking world. To declare is to decide. When you say, "All things are now working together for my highest good," you are not wishing, you are commanding. When you affirm, "I rest in abundance, and abundance rests in me," you are not hoping, you are knowing. The vibration of such statements changes the current of energy within you. It shifts you from worry to dominion, from doubt to mastery. The universe does not respond to begging, it responds to conviction. And conviction is the sound of truth remembered. The bedtime ritual of declaration is a holy act, because it turns your final moments of wakefulness into a conversation with creation. Every phrase you speak in peace imprints itself on the canvas of the subconscious. It is not necessary to shout your affirmations or repeat them with strain. The most powerful declarations are gentle, spoken with quiet assurance. The tone of faith carries further than the cry of desperation. The still, calm voice within you is heard across the infinite, for it speaks from alignment, not lack. This ritual also requires imagination, for the mind must be shown the reality you desire before it can create it. As you declare peace, imagine your world at peace. As you declare abundance, feel the richness of life already flowing. Faith is the silent force that commands the universe into motion. It is not hope, not wishful thinking, not the trembling desire for things to get better. It is the calm knowing that what you have declared is already done. Faith is the electricity that powers creation, and without it no ritual, no prayer, no affirmation can bear fruit. The universe does not awaken to fear, nor does it respond to doubt. It rises to the frequency of unwavering belief. The moment your faith becomes stronger than your worry, the invisible begins to move mountains in your favor. The universe mirrors your conviction. It does not bring you what you ask for. It brings you what you believe you already have. Every thought you hold with emotion is a signal, and every signal calls forth its likeness. Faith sends out the purest, clearest signal of all. It tells the unseen, "It is already mine." When you fall asleep in faith, your subconscious mind carries that signal into the spiritual realm where form begins to take shape. The energy of creation listens, obeys, and begins to rearrange the threads of your life to reflect your belief. That is why the state of your heart at bedtime is sacred. It is the vibration that sets the tone of tomorrow's reality. When you surrender to faith before sleep, you release the burden of control. You no longer strive to make things happen by human effort, for you understand that divine law requires no strain. Faith is not passive, it is the most powerful action you can take. To believe without seeing is to speak the language of the divine. It is to announce that you trust the order of the universe, even when the path ahead is hidden. This trust becomes your shield through the night, guarding your dreams from fear and your spirit from unrest. The universe, in turn, begins to move in ways unseen, orchestrating answers through people, opportunities, and timing that align perfectly with the vibration of your certainty. There are those who pray but never believe, who affirm but never feel, who ask but never expect. Their words may sound powerful, but their hearts remain in doubt, and so the universe stays silent. Faith, however, requires no repetition to be heard. A single whisper of true belief carries more creative force than 1,000 fearful requests. The universe does not measure the length of your prayer, but the depth of your conviction. The one who says with assurance, "It is done," speaks with divine authority, for faith transforms words into laws that reality must obey. Every night before sleep, your faith becomes the bridge between the visible and the invisible. When your eyes close, your spiritual sight opens. What you see inwardly with certainty will manifest outwardly in its time. As you rest, the energy of your belief travels far beyond your awareness, touching the currents of universal intelligence that weave together all things. It adjusts circumstances, shifts perceptions, and draws to you the people and conditions needed to fulfill what your faith has declared. The night becomes a workshop of miracles, silently constructing the future you believed into being. Faith does not require proof, it creates proof. It does not wait for evidence, it produces evidence. When you live in faith, you no longer look to the outer world for reassurance, because you understand that the outer world is only the shadow of your inner certainty. If your inner world is filled with conviction, your outer world will reflect abundance. If your inner world is filled with peace, your outer life will mirror harmony. The universe cannot resist faith. It is magnetized by it. Everything begins to move toward the one who believes without doubt. The greatest secret is that faith is not something you have to build. It is something you must remember. It has always been within you, buried beneath layers of fear and disbelief. To awaken faith is to return to your original power, to the divine knowing that existed before you learned to doubt. The moment you recall this truth, you reconnect with the creative pulse of the universe itself. Every word you speak, every thought you release, every emotion you feel becomes a command of creation. You no longer wonder if your desires will come. You rest knowing that they already are. As you lay your head upon your pillow, let faith cradle you as gently as sleep does. Release every burden, every anxious question, every shadow of uncertainty. Whisper to yourself, not with desperation but with serenity, that divine order is unfolding perfectly. Trust that as you rest, your faith is at work, building, aligning, and preparing your world for the manifestation of all that you have envisioned. In that quiet surrender, the universe stirs awake. It begins to respond to your certainty, to dance to the rhythm of your belief, to open doors where walls once stood. And though you may not yet see the outcome, know that every vibration of your faith is already shaping the unseen world into the form of your desire, is not merely a time to rest the body. It is a sacred passage where the unseen world listens and responds. Each thought, each word, and each emotion you release before sleep becomes an instruction written upon the fabric of creation. When you understand that your mind is the author of your reality, the darkness ceases to be empty. It becomes divine soil waiting for your seed. Through stillness, you learn the language of the universe. Through declaration, you claim your authority as a creator. And through faith, you awaken the power that turns invisible substance into visible form. The secret bedtime ritual is not a superstition, but a spiritual law, an act of remembrance that your world does not move by chance but by command. The universe bends not to the weary or the worried, but to the one who believes. Each night, as you close your eyes, you are standing before the threshold of miracles. The conscious mind falls silent, and the infinite mind begins its work. What you declare in peace, what you hold in faith, and what you imagine with love shapes the dawn that follows.